Hey, this is Pete from 21st Century Prepper. Today's podcast is going to be about the inch bag, the I'm never coming home bag. It's just myself today. Life has kind of gotten in our way on the podcast, and I only have the ability to record myself, not with the other folks that we normally have. So for the time being, I will be doing a couple of podcasts just by myself. So, the inch bag. It's not a bob, and a bob isn't an inch bag. My bob is, and I have a video out there of it, and we kind of discussed it in the Bug Out Bag podcast. Mine is very small. It's only 6 pounds. That's with water. It's 38 ounces of water. I only have a pair of socks in it for clothing, a couple, snack type items. I don't have a cook kit. I don't have fishing kit, which is ridiculous because I don't need it. I don't even have a saw or a hatchet or an axe, whatever you want to call it. I don't plan on using any of that stuff in the 72 hours that I designed this bag for, or 25 miles, 30 miles. In the winter, maybe 20 miles. That's what I've designed it for. To bug out is to leave quickly. To bug out is not to leave and live out of the bag you have. To bug out is just to leave. Go. Get out. As quickly as possible. And so I want a small bag, lightweight, easy to handle. Boom. Get on my way. Now, the inch is completely different than that. I view the inch bag as it has completely collapsed everything. Now, to me, this is total fantasy, because it's really never happened in modern times. Yeah, World War II could be considered that. If I ever have to touch my inch bag, it's really bad. Or I'm going camping, one of the two. Because it's going camping for like a week or a month. Because it's literally built around tools. My bob is part of my inch bag system. I have my EDC, which is my everyday carry, my bob, the bug out bag, my first aid kit, trauma kit that I have, then I have the inch bag, and then I have a food bag. Well, I can use all of those independently of each other, or I can use them as one or two together, whatever, or as a whole. If I have to use them as a whole, it's bad. And like I said, I doubt there'll ever be a time in my life where I would have to use all of them. I really, in all my research and all my history studying and all the stuff I've learned about the world today and how things are taken care of and handled, and systems are in place for this and that, I really don't see a time when we'll actually have to use an inch bag. And that's my personal opinion. You might think I'm completely nuts and stupid, but even the dreaded Spanish flu that they talk about, in 1918 to, I think it went to 1920, 21, it was only like 0.4 or 0.5% of the U.S. population died from the Spanish flu. Now, the way sometimes people talk about it is it was way higher than that, like 10 or 20%. And it wasn't. It was less than a percent of the population of the United States died because of the flu. A lot of people got sick, but they didn't die. And yeah, some people would argue that we have much more mass transit now, and people can be in New York in the morning and Los Angeles in the afternoon, and you can transfer that really quickly. But we also have more modern technology to combat it, and come up with some way to combat the flu too. So yeah, if I ever have, I really don't think I'll ever have to use my inch bag in an emergency situation such that it's been designed for. Like I did say, I'd take it camping if I was going for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because it is built around tools to help me create a camp, let's say. I do have a fishing kit. I've got snares. a couple of variety. I've got manufactured snares, and I have the ability to create my own. I have a bow saw. I have an axe. I have a cooking kit. I don't have a cooking kit in my bob because I don't plan on stopping long enough to have to cook anything. If I had to boil water, I could boil water in my bob, with my bob. But all these tools are there to help me be comfortable, I guess, is the really way you want to. Survival is easy. I've said this before. Survival is easy. It's thriving is what you want to get to. That I mean, in a comfort level, you could have a pack that weighs 10 pounds and go live in the woods for a month if you wanted to, and you'd probably be able to succeed. You probably wouldn't be very comfortable doing it, but you could do it. That's where the inch bag for me comes in play, because it's built around the certain kind of comfort level that I would want to have. I have a MSS, the military sleep system, with my inch bag, so that's rated to -40 below, with appropriate clothing. Always remember that you have to wear the appropriate clothing while you're sleeping. That means wear a stocking cap and wear your wool socks and long underwear and that kind of stuff while you're sleeping. So, and I have tarps. I don't have a tarp in my bob. I don't carry a tarp. I don't plan on stopping long enough to have to rig up a tarp. I've got a poncho with me, and that if I have to take a break and it's raining, then I'm sitting under a tree with the poncho over me, and I will stay as dry as I possibly can that way, and then move on. I have a tarp, and I have, I don't know how many, probably close to 1,000 feet of paracord in my inch bag, and combined with the bob and the med kit, and I have 550 cord in my med kit a little bit. All the bags combined, I probably have 1,000 feet of paracord with me. There's a comfort level with an inch. I had a video that I put out of my electronics package that I carry in my inch bag. I have power. I have solar chargers. I have an LED light bulb, or a couple of them actually, because that'll be my light. I'm not a fan of fire, using oil lamps or candles or anything like that for light. So these LED light bulbs are way next to nothing, and you can hook them up to the little battery banks that you can get either with a solar panel or buy separately, and they work great. That's going to be my lighting if we lose power at the house, is going to be these LED light bulbs. They're USB. They plug into the little battery banks that you can buy, or plug into a laptop that happens to be still charged, whatever. So that's part of my inch bag, is that electronic package, because I want to be comfortable, and I want to be, if I'm in a fantasy situation now, I'm talking again about if I'm out in the woods, like the fantasy situations that everybody dreams about, I throw the solar charger out, and I have 3 of them between the 4 of us, or the 5 of us, depends on who's here. Then I have power, so I can run those LED bulbs. I can charge my phone. I've got movies on my phone. I've got music on my phone. I've got I've got a YouTube video on off-grid usage of my smartphone. Give that a look. All sorts of stuff you can do. So that's what I'm shooting for with my inch. It's a comfort level. I have some clothes in there, more clothes than I have in my bob, because I only have socks in my bob, 1 pair. I've got a nice cook kit. I've got a nice stove. It's a solo stove, Titan, and it just uses twigs and acorn or pine cones, for the fuel. I do have a fuel burner where I carry a little denatured alcohol, and so if it's wet, I can at least have a fire and cook something, or heat up some water, or boil some water or whatever, if the twigs and stuff are wet. until those are dry. I have ammunition for my rifles, shotgun ammo. I have more ammunition for my handgun in my inch bag. I have, like I said, snares. I had thinking of adding a trap, but I'm not sure. It kind of weighs a little bit right now, so I don't know if I want to add the weight of a trap in there. I do have traps in my vehicle totes, so if I have to, I can carry some if I wanted to. Just take them out of the totes. Right now, my inch bag is about, with the sleeping bag system, with the sleep system, it's about 65 pounds. And believe me, I'd never want to carry it. I'm getting too old for that. But I can if I need to. The bag alone, mine is 9 pounds empty. So right there is 10 pounds of it is just the bag itself. But then with with the bob and the EDC and the med kit, you'd probably approach 75 pounds then. And of course, all that can be carried separate. The food bag, if you add the food bag, then you're talking about almost 90 pounds because the food bag by itself weighs about 15 pounds. But that can be carried by multiple people. It's just kind of a duffel bag, not a backpack. But back to the inch, it's for that fantasy. I don't think I'll ever use it for any kind of emergency. I might use a piece out of it for something every once in a while. If I go camping for the weekend, I'll take my solo stove with me. I won't probably take the inch bag with me because I don't need all that stuff with me. I might take some things out. I have maps. I have a couple compasses. I have sewing kit. I don't have a sewing kit in my bob. I'm not going to stop and repair something in a 72-hour period with my out of my bob. If I tear my pants or tear my jacket, I'm not going to stop and sew it and fix it. That can wait until I get to my destination. That's the point, is to get from A to B as quickly as humanly possible. My bob is also a GHB, if you don't know that. I take it in my vehicle. If I go a certain distance, I can use it to get home if I had to. I don't see a situation where I've never not have my vehicle to get home, but there is one situation that's a possibility. I'm not going to mention it because it's evil and I hate it and I hate discussing it. But it's a very minimal chance, but I still take it along because that's what we do. What else I got? Oh, I've got a couple carabiners in there. I've got 100 feet of rope if I had to transition down into like a gully, or whatever. I can use the carabiners along with some other stuff to get down there, or if I have to pull someone out of a situation or pull. Let's say I want to set up a camp, and I do have a pulley. That adds a little bit of weight. I have a pulley, and I can use that to move heavier logs if I want to or need to. I have a Silcock key in there. If you don't know what a Silcock key is, it's for like water faucets on the outside of industrial buildings that don't have the handle on them. You need this little key thing that you pop, and then you can open up the valve and get water out of there. I have a siphon. I actually have two siphons. One is for fuel. That I don't put that in my inch bag. I have it in my vehicle. And the other one is for if you use a Silcock key, because there's a little bit of discussion if water would actually flow out of the faucet if there was no power. So I whipped up a siphon system, with a female end of a hose and some tubing, and made it so I could somewhat pump a little bit of water. And I've never tried it because I haven't gone up to any place and said, could you turn off your power so I could try this on your system? I just haven't done that yet, and I probably never will. So Um, if anybody wants to do that, that'd be great. Let me know. Send me a message. I have a lot of stuff in there that a lot of people carry in their bobs, and I just don't see the need for it in your bob, because what you really made was an inch bag, and you just happen to call it a bob. The most likely reason for me leaving my home would be because of either it caught on fire, it got blown away by a tornado, or there's the train tracks are 6 blocks away from me, and there's a toxic spill. Other than that, I really don't see myself leaving my house. This is my kingdom, if you want to call it that, and I am not leaving unless I absolutely have to. And 2 of the reasons are because it left me. It burned down or it got blown down. And the third is because of some toxic cloud coming my way. So I'm not going to be going to live in the woods if there's a toxic spill. I'm going to the next town over and staying in a hotel. Or I'm going to my in-laws who live 10 miles away. Or the brother-in-law who lives about 8 miles away. Or my brother's lake home, which is 25 miles away. I'm not going to live in the woods. That's a ridiculous notion. I'm sorry, a lot of people think that, but going to the woods is like the last resort fantasy situation. Whatever, aliens have landed, something, whatever, Oh, something else I carry in my inch bag is seeds. Fast growing stuff like radishes, leafy greens. I have those. So if that fantasy did come true, you could get into the woods. You could, if you make a base camp or whatever you want to call it, and plant some radishes and some leafy greens, and then you have a food source in 25, 30 days, and 35 days, whatever. But if you take it to your bug out location, and your pre-planned bug out location is fine, and you've already got seeds there, then you just supplement the seeds that you already have. So it's not that big a deal. It's a couple packets of seeds. One of these days I'm going to do a video. I just haven't gotten around to it. Let's see, some more stuff I have in my inch bag. We have, I have a seine net. We have lots of rivers and creeks around here. My county alone has 1,000 lakes in it. So we have lots of water. So around here, if I wanted to get some fish or bait to get bigger fish, a seine net would be a great thing to have. So I have a net in my inch. It takes up a little bit of space, and it adds a little bit of weight to it, but it's not that bad. And like I said, I hope I would never have to carry this bag. It would be horrible. I think I'm probably going to get some kind of cart for it. So I would hopefully never have to strap it on my back. So I have some bank line that would work for the snare, making my own snares, fishing, whatever. I have 2 different sizes of bank line. I have a few tools, not too many. Obviously, with my EDC, I carry a Leatherman, but then I have a couple other small screwdrivers, another small plier, and a couple other things in there. I got lots of flashlights. If you'd seen the video for the electronics package, I have a battery charger that charges off with the solar, so I can charge AA's and AAA's, and all my headlamps, and I have a couple small flashlights, all run on rechargeable batteries, so I can charge those. Oh, I've got the Baofeng radios, obviously, because what prepper doesn't have one, right? Run out and buy one. Get a hammer. Got to get one. And I can charge that using the solar charger. So, see, comfort level. Communication, light runs off that solar. And I have redundant solar. I have 3 of them total. I will carry one, my wife will carry another one, and my son will carry the third one. So We have 3 of them, and we will be powered up and going. Once I find a small wind one that's portable, I will probably get it. Maybe 2, because I like my power. It's 21st century prepper. Like I said in a post the other day, we're not 19th century prepper. I don't want to live like it's 1850. I really don't, because 1850 sucked. It really, really did. You know, people had to have 8 babies to keep 2 alive to adulthood. So, I don't want to live like it's 1850. No, I don't. I want to use a microwave. I want to use a refrigerator. I want to have air conditioning in the summer. That's that's what I want. Those are my goals. That's my comfort level. That's what I. Sorry. The tent with the air conditioning unit stuck to it, and everybody makes fun of it. That would be me. I tell you that much. Because I've slept in a tent when it's 90 degrees out with 3 other people in a 4-man tent, and it sucks. So, it's really, do I go out and defend against the mosquitoes and the bears to sit in the lake because it's so freaking hot, or do I sit in here and sweat to death with my brothers and my nephew? So it blows. It does. So comfort. I like my comfort, and that's what my inch bag is built around, and that's what practically any inch bag should be built around is a level of comfort using tools to get there. A nice bow saw, so you can cut saplings down, wood, whatever size wood you need to build a nice shelter. Axes and hatchets, or a hatchet to process your wood for a fire. All that stuff comes down to comfort. It just makes the job easier to do that and to achieve that. It's just something that I'm striving for, and that's what everybody else should strive for. To me, it's completely different than a bob, and I can't say it more. I've already said it 3 times. A bob is not an inch bag. A bob is a bag to go from here to there real quick. An inch bag is something to live out of. It is a fantasy living out of. It's the fantasy part of it, but we do have to kind of prepare for fantasy stuff. And I can break it down and use it different ways if I want to, but I use my solar stuff almost every day. I don't use the chargers, but I use the battery packs that come with them. That's just the way my take on it is, and I hope more people kind of come around to that, because to me, we try to get as many people involved in prepping as possible. And when you say prepper, when people hear prepper, they think crazy mofo, right? That's that's nuts, that's crazy. You're getting ready for the zombie apocalypse. Well, no, I'm getting ready, and that's why we preach. I'm getting ready for unemployment, and I'm getting ready for illness, and I'm getting ready for a snowstorm that knocks out the power for 4 or 5 days. I'm getting ready for a hurricane. I'm getting ready for forest fires. These people in this fire recently, they had literally no notice to get out. It's like, boom, it was there and going, and they had to get out quick. So get out. That's your job, is just to leave. But if you prepare to leave ahead of time, and you have that flash drive of information, and you have that extra cash on you, and you have that extra charger for your phone, or even an extra phone, then you can just grab that bag and go. You don't have to worry about, we should grab the kids' graduation pictures. No, because you have a scanned copy of them, and you can reprint them if you want to. Just get out. Pictures and your life, there's no comparison. Your life means more than the quilt you got from Aunt Tilly, So we need people to prep, to prepare. The more people who are ready, and the more people that know and understand what they need to have, the better off all of us are. The better off the system is to help those who can't do that, and also the better off you are and your family, because let's say your mom is having health issues, and because you can't get to her for whatever reason, maybe the authorities can get to her because they're not dealing with 50 other people right now, because those other 50 people are on the ball and ready to go and getting out, so they can get there, get your mom, get her out, if you can't. So the more people that are ready, the better. And personally, when people talk about and newbies ask, what do I need to do? How do I start? And the first thing is people say, you got to make a bob, and this is what it's got to be in it. And I see these lists, and it's like, you're scaring these people away. You're making them go, what? Why do I need a fishing kit? I'm not going to fish. I've never fished a day in my life. They need to, for one thing, you don't need a bob right away anyway, because have you ever needed one yet? I've never touched my bob. I've had a bob in one shape or another for 8 years now. I've never used it in an emergency situation. I don't know how many people have. I should create a poll. I'm going to create a poll. Find out how many people have used their bob in an emergency. To get people involved, we need to carefully instruct them what they need to do. I mean, the first thing, you sit down and find out what are your situations that would require you to be prepared for. If you live along the Florida coast, obviously it's going to be hurricanes, number one. Everybody who has a job could face unemployment. Anybody can get sick. Anybody could have a house fire. Anybody could have a burglar come into their house. These things are all, and you don't need a bob for any of those, right? Well, except maybe the hurricane. Then you at least have some supplies to get out of town. But you don't need a bob when you have cancer. You don't need a bob when you lose your job at the factory. That's so to jump on the bandwagon that you need a bob right away. And when people are describing inch bags with hatchets and bow saws, and the guy lives in New York City. He doesn't need a bow saw. He doesn't need a hatchet. What's he going to do? Go to Central Park and cut down a tree? No, it's not. So, in the most likely scenario would be you'd only need the bob, and to get from A to B. So the inch bag is, to me, a fantasy bag and really last resort, which we probably will never touch in an emergency. So I can't stress that enough. Obviously, I've mentioned it probably 5 times already, but that's the way I look at it. And if we're trying to get some, let's say, cousin Carl into preparedness because he's got 4 kids and whatever, telling him to make a big bag full of stuff that he's never going to touch is kind of ridiculous. Maybe he should have an extra shelf in his closet with some canned vegetables and some beef stew in there in case he loses his job at the used car lot. That's more important than a bob to me, or having the proper insurance. So in case he loses his house to a fire or even gets in a car accident and gets injured, he's got the proper insurance to cover him and his recovery and his lack of a paycheck for a while. So, that's, to me, that's more important than putting these bags together. These bags are, depending on what you do and where you live, a bob, if you live on the coast, obviously a bob is a little bit more important than if you don't live on the coast and don't have major weather situations where you have to evacuate because of the weather. here in the Midwest, the only weather we would have to leave because of is a tornado, and that's kind of a very random thing, and it's still, you don't need a big bag to leave because of a tornado. You just need your flash drive and some cash. So that's why I stress cash. It should be the number one item in your bug out bag. Cash and a credit card. Number two would be a flash drive of information. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I know it's a topic that's getting a little bit more heated discussion. I've had a few nice discussions with people about the bug out bag and the inch bag, and that's just, believe me, I started out with a Bob that was huge. I still have the bag. If you've listened to the bug out bag podcast, I talked about it. Could probably stick a body in it if I needed to. I mean, cut up, but it would fit. Believe me. I don't even know how much it weighed when it was full, and I had so much crap in it. It was unbelievable. To preach to people that that's what they need is not the way we should be attacking it. We should be, you need to look at what you need. You need to look at what you want and your desires. You don't follow what I do. Follow what you need to do for yourself. If you think you need a hatchet in your Bob, then carry a hatchet in your Bob. But make sure you really need it, because it does add weight. It might look a little strange walking into the Hilton, checking into the Hilton with a hatchet attached to your bag. So, because you had to evacuate because of whatever, forest fire. So, or the Super 8, wherever you stay. Hilton, Super 8, same thing. Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and wrap this up. Make sure you check us out on 21st Century Prepper on Facebook and on the website at 21stcenturyprepper.net. We're on Twitter, Instagram, MeWe. We got the podcast is on Podbean if you want to subscribe to it that way. You can hear it on Spotify, I believe. I've never been able to find it on Spotify, but it's also on iTunes, a bunch of other places. So thanks for listening.